Namaste to all. So let's do our Vedic mantras first. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhu Bhuva Swaha, Tatsavitra Vareneyam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Diyo Yo Nah Prachodayat, Asto Ma Satgamya, तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्युर्मा अमृतं गमय ओम सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सवीर्यं कर्वावहि तेजस्वी नावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहि ओम शांति 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 ओम. So we are on verse number 108. In these verses, three verses, 108, 109, 110, Shankaracharya ji is explaining what is Maya. Because we often say this word Maya, but hey, what is it? So that's what he's telling us. Let's look at in his explanation in 108. Avyakta namanihi parmesh shaktihi anadi avidya trignatmika कार्यानुमेयः सुधियः एव माया यया जगत सर्वम इदम प्रसूयते. So avyakt namani. Namani means called. Called as the unmanifest. Avyakt namani. Pramesh Shakti, the power of the Lord. Anadi avidya. Anadi is beginningless, avidya is ignorance. Anadi avidya. Trignatmikaha, made up of the three gunas. And we are all familiar with these three gunas, Satvik, Rajsik, Tamsik. Para, superior. So remember this, these some of the terms we should remember now. Par is beyond, superior. Apar is lower. So over here he says para, superior. Karye anumeyaha, to be inferred from the effects. Sudhiya. See, dhi means intellect. Su means very good. So clear intellect. Okay, so a person of the clear intellect. Ev means only. Maya. Yaya, by whom? Jagat, universe. Sarvam, entire. Idam, this. Pursuyate is projected. So Maya is also called the unmanifest. Okay, Avyakt Namani, and is the power of the Lord. So Maya is not some other power, it's a power of God. It is without beginning. It comprises the three gunas and is superior to their effects. What is the effect? Effect is the result. So unmanifest is superior to the manifest. So it comprises the three gunas and is superior to their effects. It is to be inferred only by one who has a clear intellect. So if we don't have a clarity in our buddhi, we really cannot understand this Maya. So that's why to understand all, we need to work on our intellect. Otherwise, there is a haziness in our intellect. Clear intellect we need. It is this avidya which projects the entire universe. So avidya and Maya, the same thing. So the ignorance also, or the avidya. Maya literally means that which is not. Ma means not, ya means It's like a Ya is that, Ma is not. Which is not? That is called Maya. The question is this everybody says that Brahm is only one. It's only Brahm everywhere. So Brahm is one without a second. How do we experience this manifold world? Short answer to this question or query is this avidya or the Maya is the one which covers the one Brahma and projects many. It's just like a one beam of light, it just gets projected and it looks like many. So these are called availing powers, avarna shakti, or the projecting power, vikshep shakti, and this is we're going to learn in the next few verses. That's why they say it's like a cosmic grand illusion. So Maya is also called a dream like the horns of a rabbit. Scriptures use it like a manomaya. Okay, so this nature of the mind, like a horns on the rabbit, it's not there, but you are projecting it. So to explain the appearance of the manifold world, the concept of Maya is invoked. So it's a cosmic illusion. Cosmic. Mother of the duality also it's called. So on account of which one appears as many and the real appears as unreal. Brahm is real. That seems like unreal. Just like in our own personality also. Atma is real, but it seems like, hey, maybe. I don't even see it. And the body which is unreal, it seems real. So whether you want to look at it microcosmally or macrocosmally, it's the same thing. So at our level, it's a vasana. And when we look at the macrocosm of it, then it's a Maya. Okay, so let me read it again. Avidya or Maya is also called the unmanifest and is the power of the Lord. It is without beginning. That means it's always there. It's in the unmanifest form. Then because of this combination, permutation of these three gunas, it becomes manifest. But it's always there. Because it's the power of God, of course it's going to be there. God is always there, so God's power is always there. And it comprises the three gunas and superior to their effects. It is to be inferred only by one who has a clear intellect. If you want to really understand it, we got to have that kind of an intellect. It is this avidya which projects entire world. Okay, so that's why this Parmeshwar or God, Paramatma, is called omnipotent. All the powers are in it. Power to even delude us. So this power divine is called the unmanifest. Okay, and that's why Lord can play through any of his powers. There are three powers normally in the scriptures they talk about. There's a power to discriminate, that is a Gyan Shakti. Discriminate means to discern. Okay, Gyan Shakti. Then there's a power to desire, Ichha Shakti. And then there's a Kriya Shakti, power to strive. So God can play through any of these powers. These are his powers. So all are his divine powers. So this Maya Shakti is also, which we call Avidya, is his power. Okay, but it's like a solid mass. So sattva, rajas, tamas are three climatic conditions under which this manifestation function. So Maya Shakti, consisting of the three guns, he says it's beyond sense perception. Par senses cannot perceive it. Only its effects can be perceived. And by the time it reaches to the effects level, it's not as powerful. See, almost like we don't know what electricity is except through its manifestations. Okay, so that's how this Maya Shakti and effect is what we see over here in the manifested world. So this finite, mortal, ever-changing world we see, which is born out of it, it's a Maya alone. It's Maya alone. Okay, so but non-apprehension of the reality doesn't let us see it. So again, I would like you to remember that vasana at the individual level is the same as Maya in the cosmic level. Maya is the vehicle of the Supreme when he functions as Ishwar. That's why Shakti always comes. Whenever we see even the avatar, there is a Shakti next to him. Shakti. Whether he came as a Lord Krishna, say Radha Rani, Shakti. Okay? Sita, Shakti. Parvati, Shakti. Saraswati, Shakti. This is Shakti. Okay? The energy. So when the Supreme functions through macrocosmic avidya, it's Maya. Okay? So now let's look at next verse where he further explains it to us. He says, Satnaha api asatnaha api ubhyatmikaha no bhinna api abhinna api ubhyatmikaha no sangaha api anangahi ubhyatmika no mahadruta anirvachanihe rupaha. So these are little longer verses. So don't get frightened by the size of these verses. So sat na, that means neither existent. See, na means not, sat means existent. Api asat naha, nor non-existent. We saw this kind of explanation in Bhagavad Gita also. Very contradictory explanation. Because something which cannot be explained with a language. So that's why these kind of verses are written, so that we can rise above this duality. So satna, neither existent, api asatnaha, nor non-existent. Api ubhya atmika, no, nor of both natures. Okay, ubhya means two. Bhinna, different. Api means or, abhinnaha, same. So bhin is different, abhin is the same. Ubhe atmikaha, of both natures. Na means not, sangha means parts. Anang, whole. Ubhe atmika, of both natures. No means not, maha dhutaha, most wonderful, like a adbhut, mahadhut, most wonderful. Anirvachaniya rupa, of indescribable form. So you really cannot describe it. So that's why he's using these contradictory statements over here. He says Maya is neither existent nor non-existent, nor both. Neither same nor different, nor both. Neither made up of parts, nor whole, nor both. Most wonderful it is, and beyond description in words. So, avidya or Maya cannot be said to have a separate existence from Brahma because it's its power. It's not something which can be taken away from it. And you cannot say that it doesn't exist either because we are all suffering and enjoying it in this manifested world. So we cannot say that it exists as well as it exists not. When we say it does exist, it does not exist, that means it's not permanent. So in the relative sense, we feel that it exists, but in the absolute sense, it's not. So we cannot say that see, just like an example of the ghost and the post. There is a post over there. A person who looks at it starts trembling. That is a ghost. But does the ghost really exist? It's not there, it's only a post. But for a person who looks at it and gets fearful, for that person it does exist. So in the relative sense it exists, in the absolute sense it does not exist. The same way the Maya. So if somebody says, no, there's a ghost over there on the post, you take the light. Take a flashlight and show that, oh, there's nothing over there, it's only the post. The same thing happens. A guru says, this Maya does not exist. You think it exists right now. So that's why he's using these terms over here. It exists and it does not exist. It is a sat also, a sat also. So it exists as well as exists not. Sure, it seems like very contradictory, but we got to understand it philosophically. So it cannot be said that the great Maya exists and is other than Brahma. That's how we should understand. It's not other than Brahma. Because Brahma is one without a second. There's only Brahma. So this Maya is with the Lord as well as without the Lord. Again, that's a contradiction. So that's why he's saying that it's anirvachaniya, indescribable with the words. Why? Because intellect or the words also, no matter how carefully we use it, how beautifully we use it, where did they come from? Avidya. Now, no matter how sharp the intellect is, the cause for the intellect is avidya. So intellect cannot comprehend its own cause. It's like a child is born out of the Maya. So the Maya, when it manifests, becomes the intellect. Sure, we are sharpening it. We want to clear the clouds. But the effect cannot by itself comprehend its own cause. Remember that. Maya is also called a delusion. And delusion can never be explained. Okay, so that's why indescribable, anirvachaniya. Then we go to a teacher, we cry out to the teacher, give me peace. Because of this Maya, I am suffering. Because if it's not there, I shouldn't be suffering. Guru gave us the antidote of the intoxication because we are intoxicated by this Maya. And what is the antidote? It's the study of the scriptures. A spiritual discipline. Then this Maya does not have the effect on us. This ignorance doesn't have the effect on us. Because the lack of correct thinking produces the misconception. So Guru says, think rightly, all misery will end. Think rightly. Use the tool properly, even though tool is temporary, but right now this is the tool you have. Use it properly to know the reality. Okay, so then he says in the next one, number 110, this is also about Maya. Shuddh adavya brahm vibodh nashyah sarap brahma rajju vivektah yatha rajastama sattvam iti prasiddha guna tadiyah prathite swarkarya. Shuddh is the pure. Advaya, not non-dual. Advaya. Okay, means not, dvaya means two. So non-dual. Brahm. Vibodh. By realization. See, this is something we need to realize it. But in order to go through that spiritual discipline, we need to know what to do too. So Nashya can be destroyed. Sarap Brahma, the illusion of the snake. Rajju Vivektaha, by the discrimination of the rope. So these two examples are often used in the scriptures. Snake and the rope and the ghost and the post. The same idea they are trying to bring through these examples. So Rajju Vivekta, by the discrimination of the rope. Yatha means just as. Rajas Tamaha Sattvam iti, as Rajas, Tamas and Sattva. Prasiddha, well known. Guna, gunas. Tadiya, its. Prathitai, named after. Swakarye, their respected functions. By realization of the pure, non-dual Brahma, Maya can be destroyed. Just as the illusion of the snake is removed by the discriminative knowledge of the rope. Its guns are Rajas, Tamas and Sattva. So these are the gunas of the Maya. Brahm or the Atma doesn't have the gunas. These gunas are only related to Maya. Just remember that. Distinguished by their respective functions. So the mighty power of delusion can be destroyed through the direct experience of the pure Brahma. And that's why all the teachers, they tell us to sit back, detached, go within. It's right there. We don't have to go anywhere to have this realization. Pure Brahma, one without a second. Okay, so just like if there is a twilight and we think we go outside, we get frightened by a snake. Somebody says, no, there's no snake. They bring a flashlight and they show us. It's just a rope. Why are you frightened? That's how it is. That's why the light, guiding light from a guru with the help of the scriptures and using our own discrimination then. Okay, so when the non-apprehension of the real substratum ends, see, non-apprehension, the objects of the illusory perception created by it also, which is called misapprehension, that also ends. There's no snake. So when the reality, the Brahm is realized, the confusions, and what are the confusions to us? The biggest confusion we have is I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect. That will end. This confusion will end. Sure, we have the body in this part of the journey, this particular body, which keeps on changing also, but I am not the body. I got to learn how to use this body. The same thing for the mind also. This is a tool given to me by this Maya. Intellect also. So just like that illusory serpent disappears totally on cognition of the rope, the same way when we have this realization that I am nothing but part of Brahman. So the functions of the Maya Shakti fall under three gunas. Remember that. These gunas determine the landscape of the mind and appear different. Under sattvic mind, we feel very peaceful. Under the Rajasic mind, we feel very agitated. In the Tamasic mind, we feel dull, very lazy. So it's like, almost like a landscape of that mind. According to the gunas, just like the atmosphere outside, it looks different. It's the same, but it looks different in summer, in winter, in fall. Atmosphere seems different. The same way over here. Okay. So now separately he's going to explain the nature and the effect of these Rajsikta, Tamsikta, Satvikta to us. Because these are the powers of the Maya. So from the powers, like from a nature of it and its effects, we really learn to know what it is. So he's still talking about Maya, but from the nature and the effects of it. So let's look at 111. So 111 and 112 is the Rajo Guna, Rajsikta. Vikshep Shakti Rajasah Kriya Atmikaha Yataha Pravriti Parsutaha Purane Ragadya Asya Nityam Prabhavanti Dukhadya Ye Manasaha Vikaraha. Vikshep Shakti is a projecting power. Vikshep, projecting. Rajasa, the Rajsika. Kriya Atmika, of the nature of activity. Yataha, from which Pravriti, activity. Prasritaha, has flowed, like something comes out of it. Puranihi, initial. Puran, oldest, ancient, initial. Ragadyaha, attachment, etc. Rag is attachment. Adi means etc. Asyaha, from this, nityam, continuously. Prabhavanti, produced. Dukh adya, grief, etc. Ye means which? Manasaha, of the mind. Vikaraha, modifications, changes, vikar. Rajas has a projecting power. Activity is its very nature. From it, the initial flow of activity has originated. From it, mental modifications such as attachment and grief are also continuously produced. Okay, so these are like outcomes of the Rajasic nature. So Rajas, attitude of Maya, creates the agitations of the mind. Vikshepa means the agitations. When we project something, what is happening? Projection gives us agitation, restlessness. We project. So Maya expressed at the mental level manifests in the form of mental agitations. So the Maya which creates restlessness in the mind is called a Rajo Guna. And from the Rajo Guna, all the activities are born. So when the mind is active, we act in the world outside. When the mind is quiet, all actions end. See, like during deep sleep, the mind is at rest, calm. Therefore, no activity is taking place. See, activities are not just only the physical activity, activities are happening in the mind itself, the thoughts. So activities are possible only when the mind is active. It really, picture appears in the mind first. And these are called the desires and the passions also. That's also part of the Rajsikta. There are desires and the passions in the mind, and to satisfy them, a person acts in the world outside. So Rajasic person, that's why, is highly active. Okay. So the nature of the avidya when expresses in a given personality is called Rajogun. And Rajogun creates agitation in the mind. And due to these mental agitations, we act in the world. So that's like objectively we act in the world and subjectively we experience desires, passions, lust, and also joys and the sorrows also. All of that is highly Rajasic state of mind. And what happens then? It doesn't stop there. See, if it was just action only, then you stop, then there's no problem. Okay. But we don't know where this kind of a mind will take us. And that's why he's telling us in the next verse. He says, Kamaha, Krodha, Lobh, Dambh Adi, Asuya, Ahankar, Irshya, Mats Adya, Tu Ghoraha Dharma Ete Tajsa, Pravriti Yasmat Eshaha, Tat Raja Bandh Hetu. Kam, the desires, Krodh, anger, Lobh, greed, Dambh Adi, hypocrisy, etc. Asuya, spite. Ahankar, egoism. Irsha, jealousy. Matsar Adya, envy, etc. Jealousy. Tu means but. Ghoraha, dreadful. Dharmaha, attributes. Ete means these. Rajasaha of Rajas. Pravritihi, tendencies of a person. Yasmat, from which. Eshaha, this. Tat means therefore. Rajaha, Rajas. Bandh hetu, the cause of bondage. So this becomes a cause of bondage. So desire, anger, greed, hypocrisy, arrogance, jealousy, egoism, envy, etc., which we normally call the ripus, shat ripus. They're all part of that. These are the dreadful attributes of Rajas, from which the worldly tendencies of people are produced. Rajas is therefore the cause for bondage in life. See, action itself is not the cause of bondage. Okay, but when the action is done under the prevalence of Rajsikta, it becomes the bondage. So objectively looking at all actions arise out of the Rajagun aspect of Maya, and the reactions arising subjectively in the human personality are explained in this verse. So when he talks about Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar and all that. So desire, anger, hypocrisy, etc., jealousy, egoism, those manifest because of Rajsikta. These are called the lower level of emotions in the psychological layer of the personality. They create agitation in the mind which is supposed to be very calm. But all this creates agitation in the mind. And they are considered terrible, the ghor, because they continue to multiply. And human beings get totally shackled by them. They don't even know when to control. So that's why they say all the worldly activities arise from Rajogun. And ultimately, these are the cause for the bondage in life also. So it's like under the sway of the Rajsikta. So Rajogun, just remember Vikshep or the agitation. See, projection and agitation, the same thing. So Rajogun generates agitation, and these very agitations of the mind, ultimately they create a veil over the Atma. The light is there. We are that light. But this agitated mind creates a covering over it. Because when a Rajasic person gets exhausted due to his own overexertion, he gets tired, feels sleepy. And this is the state which he's going to tell us is tamasic. Overexertion, overdoing, over negativity. So Rajas most necessarily lapse into tamas if we don't control it. It's like a tamas is lower, sattva is higher. So in order to go up, it will take some vigilance. Otherwise, just by nature, a highly Rajasic person, it doesn't take long for the Tamsikta to enter into. Okay? So we act foolishly, get more and more entangled in the mad pursuits of objects of pleasure. Okay? So for a person who is on the path of spirituality, it's a death. So let's do one more and then we'll let's see, maybe two more. Because for 113 to 116, it's a tamogun now. Okay, then later on, he'll come to sattvagun. So starts out with the rajagun, then tamas. So 113. एषः आवृत्तिः नाम तमोगुणस्य शक्तिः यया वस्तु अवभासते अन्यथा स एषः निदानं पुरुषस्य संसृते विक्षेप शक्ति प्रवणस्य हेतुः. एषा, this, avriti, veiling, naam, by name, tamo gunasya, of tamas, shakti, power, yaya, by which, vastu, the thing, avabhasate, appear, anyatha, other, sa eshaha, it is this, nidanam, cause, purushasya, of the person, samsrite, repeated transmigration. This is like a coming again and again into the cycle of birth and death. That is called a samsriti, transmigration. Vikshep shakti, of the projecting power, pravanasya, of the actions, hetu, the initiator. So the veiling power, avarna shakti, is the power of tamas. So projecting power, or the restlessness, agitation, that was the power of rajas. This veiling power, covering, like a we cannot really see who we are, is the power of tamas, which makes things appear to be other than what they actually are. Because if something is covered, you really cannot see clearly. Somebody is coming from far away and either there's not enough light or you don't have a good vision, you might get afraid. It could be your own friend coming, but you get afraid. Okay? Can't see it properly, appear to be other than what they actually are. It causes a person's repeated transmigration and initiates the action of the projecting power. So every time we come here, sure, we have to do the actions. So that's why initiates the action. Because we are here in a karma yoni, we are born because we didn't know who we are, and then we just start acting again. So it's like a play of the rajas and the tamas keeps going on. So, but one thing, just remember that Maya in its tamogun nature acts in our personality as the power of veiling. Okay, so when we really don't know clearly what it is, that is a tamsikta. Lack of clarity, confusion, that's tamsikta. That's why we have to turn the light on. Go to a person who can clarify it for us. Or sit back and find the answer within. Confusion, darkness, not knowing. Because if we keep on making the decisions from that kind of a state of mind, sure we are doing the karmas and we'll have to wash away those karmas too. Okay, karmas we are doing. So that's why he's talking about it. This is a very powerful verse over here. Starting out, giving a clear picture of our life. Tamas veils reality and rajas creates agitation in the mind. And as a result of combination of these two, we see things which are not really there. So there's no clarity, lot of agitation. We keep on getting more and more drawn towards it and go deeper and deeper and sink into it. So things as they are revealed by tamas, and mind projects its imagination upon them. Because when you don't see it clearly, somebody is coming in the dark, they have a hands in the back, you think they have a gun in their hand and they could have a gift for you. And you might say something which you will regret later. In relationships, that happens sometimes. So veiling and agitating. Objects are not perceived in the right perspective when the inner personality is poisoned by rajas and tamas. This is a poison for us. Tamas is the springboard for a person's repeated transmigration. Just remember that. If we don't want to come back here again, we want to attain godhood, which is a goal for all of us. Get rid of this tamsikta. And he'll tell us exactly what tamsik is, how we get rid of the tamsikta. Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita told us clearly, but these great saints, again and again, they are telling us. When we consider ourselves just the body, the mind, and the intellect, and I start functioning in this world of objects, emotions, and thoughts, I keep on creating more and more vasanas for myself, more and more desires for myself. And in order to exhaust those desires or the vasanas, of course, I'll have to search for another body. Look at the attachment. Attachment, if that is one of the vasanas, I got to attach. It could be attachment to the things, attachment to the people, attachment to the circumstances, attachment to the pleasure also. Who can attach the best? Human being cannot attach, but a lizard can. then that self will have to take the body of a lizard. We know that lizards, how they attach to the wall, to the roof. Have you seen that? So that kind of a body will take based upon the vasanas. Or if somebody wants to eat all the time, constantly, day and night, thinking about eating, as in a human body, you cannot eat enough. The next body could be a pig's body. We got to be careful, because for this whole Brahmand, there are many kinds of bodies, and those bodies are based upon the vasanas we have cultivated. And on the other hand, if we have vasanas to help, to serve, to spread the satvikta around, sure, we'll take a body of a yogi. So vasanas decide. So cycle of birth and death goes on until all the vasanas have been exhausted. And that vasana is a maya at our individual level. We want to solve the problems outside. Sure, if you want to pick a cause, do that. But pick up this cause also. This should be our primary cause to get rid of the vasanas. Outside picking up doing something for the betterment of the society or the universe, that should be secondary. Not at the cost of creating more vasanas. So the cycle of birth and death goes on until all the vasanas have been exhausted. Remember that. We got to have this, like a mantra, we got to remember this. So the Rajasic aspect of Maya is actually the cause for all the agitations of the mind. But the effect of the Rajasic is because of the Tamsikta, the veiling. So Tamsic aspect of Maya veils the intellect. When the rope is not recognized as a rope, a person suffers from the misconceptions projected by his own mind that it's a serpent. So the same way, due to the tamas in me, I'm not able subjectively to realize the nature of Brahma, the Atma in me. I'm just looking outside. So in its place, we recognize the subject-object world of experiences caused by the rajas in me. So Maya plays in two ways. That's what we have learned today. Through her Avarn Shakti, see, Maya is always a female term given to Maya. Okay, Maya. So through her Avarn Shakti, veiling power. And through her Vikshep Shakti, projecting power. So which are tamas and rajas respectively. Okay, and he is not done with explaining the tamas to us. So we'll see that next week. So this is 113 we did. So 14, 15, 16. So that many more verses he is going to open this tamsikta for us. See, in order to rise above, we got to learn what we are rising above from. Where are we going? So that's why studying the scriptures is so important deeply. So let's stop it here. So any questions, comments, and then after that we'll have I think Kamla is singing today, Kamla?
And Hershji.
Okay, all right, good.
I have Sujata who has a question.
Yes, Sujata.
Namaste, Hershji. Great class. Almost feel like you have to give us the same class all over again one more time, just to understand it completely.
Yeah,
Or to
I know. Sometimes it just becomes too dense, but just sit back. I always say that if we have a 1 hour of class over here, definitely spend another hour during the week to just go over it little bit on your own also. Then we become good students. I'm sure in your medical school you spent a lot more time other than the classrooms, right, Sujata?
Yes, we did. We did.
Yeah.
My question is, if you transcend your own gunas,
Mm-hmm.
in meditation,
Mm-hmm.
and then I presume that you're in touch with this larger Maya, or the all pervasive Maya,
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then can you manifest what you wish?
Yes, but what happens is your own wishes don't even exist then.
Correct, but it
You
might
don't
be a larger wish, for example.
larger wish, yeah, you can. That's how these yogis, they could create more bodies. They could create, don't we read all those things in the Bhagavad Puran also, Ramayana also? But that is also always created for the benefit of others, not for themselves, not to
Right.
show
I
off.
mean, so many times. I mean, you see so many lives that come to an end before you think that they have achieved everything that they wanted or could in the larger sense,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, perhaps they will come back to achieve it, or will some other person who taps into that same vein of thinking achieve it?
Yeah, somebody else can too. That's either or and.
Either or, either
Yeah,
or. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Because we really don't know. This is like a beyond our comprehension.
Okay.
Okay.
And so when we say Krishna came back out of his compassion
Mm-hmm.
for us,
Mm-hmm.
uh, were we his vasana?
No, 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 no. The
No,
yogis don't come back because of their vasanas.
they come back. So compassion is not a vasana.
No, compassion is not a vasana. No, no, they
Okay.
don't come. They don't have their personal agenda.
Okay.
Okay. They
No,
come for the betterment. It's almost like if a rich man owns an estate, just goes there just to look at it. What is really happening there? It's not because of the vasanas.
no,
God owns all this. He just comes here from time to time just to check it out. It's not a vasana. This is that is like a law of nature.
no, but don't we say that when things are going wrong, or when things are going sufficiently wrong, then there is an avatar that we
Yeah,
recognize.
yeah,
He
yeah.
may be coming all the time, but we recognize the avatar when things are going
Yeah, when
sufficiently
something
wrong.
big is happening, only then we recognize. Otherwise, God is everywhere all the time. But then He takes the form.
That he
Right?
reveals
That
himself.
form is taken to just to take care of a certain problem. But it's not because of his own vasanas, though. Okay.
Yeah, that's
So Paramatma doesn't have the vasanas.
okay.
That's why we need to dissolve our vasanas to become one with the Brahma.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Because only two who are similar can join.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So,
All right.
yes, Vaishnavi.
Hi, namaskar. Thank you for the great class. I wanted to ask, with the focus on detachment of the body, how do we reconcile that with the advent of science and technology and medicine to try to prolong life here on Earth in every aspect that we're doing? I know I come from a medical family. I know a lot in this people in this community are medical providers. How do we reconcile that?
Okay, what we need to remember, this body is a temple for us. We are using the body to do the karmas. Longer body, longer life, healthier body, we can extinguish more vasanas. Okay? So just consider this as a temple, just like a house. If a house is not leaking, house has a better foundation. We can do what we need to do in that house. So So non-identification does not mean that do not take care of it. Non-identification means that I reside in here and I need to take care of this. This is my foremost duty. Even the Vedic seers, they said, this is like a parmo dharma. Supreme duty is to take care of this body. And the longer time we have, because first few years, we are still learning the language also, this body also, why we are here. That's like almost first 20 years of average person's life. Next 20, 25 years, then there are a lot of relationships and earn money and know the outer world also. Then after that, it dawns on a person, average person I'm talking about, why I'm here. What is the purpose, the real purpose? So the longer time we have after that, the real life starts after the age of 50. When we have somewhat control over this body, somewhat understanding that this wealth which I have accumulated, it's not mine. I'm going to have to leave behind, because we start seeing people leaving everything behind. Then we start to work on it. So that's why longer time we have after that, the more vasanas or this crud which we have accumulated over countless lifetimes, we can wash it off. So that's why I tell all the students who come to me, I say, if you are above 50, your main job is this: study, reflect, serve, meditate. You are not there yet, Vaishnavi. You are younger. So, but this is what your father should be doing, and he is doing it. It's a different stage in life, different primary duty. See, there are secondary duties we still are doing, but primary duty. See, when I was working in the corporate world, sure, 10 hours I was working, traveling. But when I retired, this became the main thing. Then I should spend 10 hours for this. Studying, teaching, serving, right? So after retirement, it's not that we should just, some people just don't understand. They think retirement is to become lazy. No. My own Guruji, he retired at the age of 58. He was a principal in a college in India. 58 was the retirement age at that time. Lived up to 95. Up until the last breath, he kept serving. He wrote so many books during that period of time, because when we are working for money, we really cannot spend this kind of a time. If I was still a controller of a company, I couldn't have taught you every day, right? So longer life is not in contradiction with the medical science. We should take care of this body, okay? Does that answer your question, Vaishnavi?
Oh, completely,
what you wanted,
beautifully.
right?
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
Kamala.
No? Okay. All right. So let's have a